Little Simz, Sometimes I Might Be an Introvert album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here, and I chat about this latest album from Little Simz, who, since she debuted back in 2015, has really just become an artist that I've, had to follow at every step. Around the time of her A Curious Tale of Trials and Persons album, I thought she had a lot going for herself. Singles like Dead Body and Gratitude I thought were some of the best rap singles of the year. Her lyrics were fascinating throughout this entire album. However, I thought that sometimes some of the beats and production were a little lackluster and needed to mesh more with her style. Now, her follow-up album, Stillness in Wonderland, I was so excited for it. Leading up to it, I knew that she was diving into topics and bringing in elements of Alice in Wonderland as well. And this just sounded like really just like my kind of rap album. And you know what? The themes are awesome. The guest spots are solid. Little Simz sounds fine, but so much of this album just missed the mark. It was just so average. I was so disappointed by it. However, Little Simz rose to the occasion and shut my mouth completely with her 2019 modern masterpiece, Gray Area. This was one of the most skilled and extravagant and awesome underground hip-hop releases of the year. I mean, the UK rap scene, the whole grime scene as well, just, I don't know, it's never really, hit me that hard. It's just not been a genre that I haven't dove into enough. But this album, to me, was so obvious and was easily the best rap album of the year. Now, these new singles are pretty introspective, pretty epic, very grandiose, and I've been very excited to chat about this album. Let's dive in. This album starts off with Introvert, and I think it's genuinely the best track here. This is a staggering intro. Between the drama, the horns, this instrumental, this is larger than life. I love the very whimsical world that Simz brings to life here. And her performances are just always so intense. Just so many great ideas, and the way that she puts them to paper, it's always awesome to see. It's a political track. It goes into corruption and greed. But it just sums up so much of this album. It is so crisp. I love this. I've loved Woman featuring Cleo Sol since it first dropped. This is smooth as freaking hell. The amount of confidence on this track is absolutely absurd. It's a track from the point of view of Little Simz as she dives into women who inspired her each and every day. Not only that, but the variety of women that do inspire her. And overall, it's just a home run, and Cleo Sol's blend of neo-soul that she brings in here is really great. Then we have Two Worlds Apart, and genuinely, I feel like this is one of the classiest hip-hop albums I've heard all year. This almost reminds me of something from her last album, Gray Area. It sounds like a victory lap, but in the best way. I really love just how creative this sample is as Lil Simz breathes new life and creates this new track completely out of the Smokey Robinson single. And while it's a little bit more of a laid-back track from Little Simz, I think this is glorious. I've also really enjoyed I Love You, I Hate You since it first dropped. This is a commendably emotional and deep track from Little Simz. A lot of this track dives into her relationship with her father. And it's just so freaking dense and really deserves a deep dive into these lyrics. The Lil Q Part 1 and 2 that we get here as well is actually pretty classy. The interlude portion of this track has this really nice voiceover from her cousin. And honestly, it's a pretty eye-opening interlude that goes very well into Lil Q Part 2. And honestly, this track is pretty unbelievable. This goes into first person what her cousin Little Q has gone through growing up in South London. The imagery here is absolutely ridiculous. The brush with death that he goes into is pretty wild. I mean, Simz just paints these unbelievable pictures. And between that, we have this classy sample and a classier beat. This is a knockout. Speed, on the other hand, is just such a freaking flex, man. This is everything that I loved about Gray Area. The beat here is one of the most minimal here, but watch that. The beat that we get on this track is probably one of the most minimal here, but Simz knocks it out of the park on her own with her sheer swagger and technique. And this serves as a great reminder for the rap game right now. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Quantity over quality is always. Not only that, but it has a great message for the current rap game. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Quality over quantity always. Simz is in it for the long haul. And Standing Ovation is pretty great too. I mean, these classy beats on their own are just scratching so many itches. And there's a lot of self-reflection on this album. It doesn't get much better than this. This is a great pat yourself on the back moment, as well as patting some others on the back as well. These key workers, as Lil Simz goes into. Now, this is a very classy, very introspective, very conscious hip-hop album, and probably one of the best ones of the year. However, it's long, and I do, in a weird way, sometimes miss the sort of simplicity of Gray Area. That album was so good for just how no frills it was. It was 30 minutes in and out, all technique, all swagger, and that excited me. There's some tracks that don't need to be here. The Gems interlude is fine. It brings in a lot of the same whimsical feels of Stillness in Wonderland that just goes on seemingly forever. I think I See You is the worst track here, and I get what Simz is going for. Lyrically, this is beautiful. But the lackluster beat and her more subdued performance here, it's just not what I come to the table for. Her Rapper That Came to Tea interlude is, I don't know, I certainly get what she was going for. Look, these interludes are empowering. She dives into her introversion in a very unique way. For me, though, I've heard Simz do so much more with so much less. And believe it or not, Rolling Stone has Lessened on Me as a single. It's fiery and it's hard-hitting and it has a ton of technique. But the attention to detail that Simz usually puts into her music, it's just not here. The personality isn't here either. This sound to me sounds a little dated from her, and I don't know, I just know she could do much better. And Point and Kill featuring Obunjaya honestly kind of misses the mark too. Now, I will say this beat goes hard, and between Simz and Obunjaya here, honestly, you can tell this meant a lot to them. Their hearts are in the right place. And if you read Simz' interview about this track, it did mean a lot to her. But it was also apparently recorded in one take, and honestly, I feel like it sounds like it. But still, come on, it's Lil Simz. She is a modern master of this style, and it shows. Protect My Energy grooves so freaking hard. It has this very sparkly synth beat that almost has like a new disco vibe to it. And you know what? This is really interesting because this is Lil Simz getting out of her comfort zone. And you know what? It sounds great. The production here is great. And it shows Lil Simz showing off some singing chops, which is something that we don't usually get to hear. It sounds good too. Compared to Point and Kill, I feel like Fear No Man is so much better. I love the warm, very wildly vibrant beat that we get here. That's fantastic. And the amount of swagger on this track, once again, whew! Simz has so much of a freaking gift, and here she flaunts it and clearly fears no one in hip-hop, and that is exciting. As far as an interlude goes, I think The Garden is one of the most thought-provoking and charming here. It's actually really gorgeous, let alone inspiring. And How'd You Get Here is just freaking classy. So much so, I think this should have just been the album's finale. This is a sharply written and heartfelt come-up story, with Simz diving into her past and sharing some pretty in-depth details. It's a fascinating tale of where Simz came from, where she has come up from, where she's going, where she is right now. And it sounds also simple, but yeah, it just takes that from Lil Simz. This is a really great late album track. And it sucks because I honestly think Misunderstood is just a very average finale. This, to me, isn't anything that Lil Simz hasn't already done, let alone on this album. Don't get me wrong, her performance is just as intense and filled with swagger. But the beat is average, and the track that came before this, How'd You Get Here, is honestly so much more intense and enjoyable. So overall, yeah, you know what you're getting here from Lil Simz. She has brought in a series of whimsical beats and intense, skilled production, and just the amount of swagger in her verses on this album is ridiculous. However, I do hate to be that guy, but there are some times on this album that I miss the simplicity of Gray Area, just how straightforward that album was. It was lean, it was mean, and this is not that. However, I mean, it's Lil Simz. She's on such a roll right now, and her performances on this album are fantastic, and the beats are so classy. I'm feeling a very strong 7 on this album, but let me know what you guys are thinking down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.